Welcome to The Voice Cast. We are back with season 2, and here we are live from The Scoop. We just wanted to let you guys know that The Scoop is doing really well. We figured you would miss it during these quarantine days. So we just want you, we're keeping it safe.
Here.
The ice cream is here.
Hygienic.
The roof, the sign is here.
Germex.
We still have $3 milkshakes. So whenever you guys are ready to come back, we are here live from The Scoop. So here we are, season 2, quarantine conversations. And today I have, for the first time ever, Taylor.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And like always, we have Kaimana.
Hello.
And we are excited. Here comes Quarantine Conversations, season 2, episode 2. Here we go. We're going to start right off with my first question. We're going to get really racy and sassy right now. Okay. Who is more complicated, men or women?
Ooh.
Women.
Start off, guest?
Yes. I think women are way more complicated. First off, I can say that because I'm a girl. And two, I just think it goes to show like how we can't even decide half the time what we want to eat. Like every time Pedro asks me what I want to eat, I never know, or I'll know for a second and then it changes. But I also think at the same time, like, we're super fine.
Whoa.
We're great.
Okay.
Heyo.
We're God's greatest gift to men. So I'm like, it's okay. We're difficult, but
How are we God's
But
greatest
we're
gift to men?
worth it.
we can have babies.
Whoa.
We can reproduce, give life. We're helpmates. I think we're just made to support and help, but also too, like, we're awesome because we can lead and we can be bosses and we can like kill it. I think we're incredibly talented, creative.
Whoa.
We can pretty much do
We're the best.
everything that guys can do too. So
That's true. I mean, right? Like God made Eve and was like, "Go help him."
And then she
But for Adam, he was like, "Congrats, yeah." And then we won't talk about what happens later. But I don't know if it's because I am a girl, but I feel like guys are more complicated because, like, even when girls do stuff that's crazy, I'm like, I get it.
It
I
makes sense.
understand why you did that. And like a guy doesn't understand. I'm like, let me explain to you. She's crazy. But like with guys, I just don't know. I have a brother, I have a husband. I've always had guy friends. And I'm still like, why do you do what you do?
Yeah.
Someone tell me, please. And I don't know. I don't get them still to this day.
I think that, in my opinion, and I do think men are more complicated. I don't think women are. I think you're right, though. Like, women as a whole. And I guess my problem is that I know exactly where I want to eat.
Yeah.
And if I don't care, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like that's it. So the thing is, women don't know where they want to eat because I know women. I've seen women. Like, my sister can never decide, where she wants to go eat. But it's just eating. Like, when it comes to real life stuff, I feel like men are like, who do you want to marry?
Yeah.
Where do you want a job? And men are like, I don't know. Like, they just can't decide. So while ladies can, like, yes, I want this relationship. Yes, I want whatever.
true.
Taco
That's
Bell,
true.
they don't know. They literally don't know. Shoes,
Yeah.
I don't know. Friends, I don't know. Like,
Right,
but
like
big
real life.
major
Yeah.
decisions.
Yeah.
I feel like, but maybe it's just my industry and what I'm around. I'm mostly around
maybe.
men. So I just remember one time we were a fine arts trip and there was all these buses, this huge caravan. There's like 8 buses and we got lost and we didn't know where we were at. And literally everybody was mad and all the bus drivers were men and they all parked their buses and got out and just started like yelling at each other. And I'm standing there and literally I'm just like, none of them are making up their minds. Like, nope, they just wanted to be like, I'm mad. And the other one was like, I'm more mad. And then I'm the third maddest. And we just sat there for about 45 minutes wasting time, not going anywhere. And that changed my life. And I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
I can't understand it.
I think, like, okay, I've had one friend in my whole life who has given me the silent treatment for 24 hours. It was 24 whole hours. And it was a boy. And I've never had any girlfriends do that to me. And then whenever we figured out why the silent treatment was happening, it was the craziest thing I've ever heard. And I was like, the complication that it took to like weave your way into this web to where you needed to unfriend all your friends for 24 hours. I was astounded. But like, that seems like something a girl would do.
Yeah.
But I've always, I don't know, like, I guess all the guy friends I've had in my life have been kind of metrosexual, we'll say.
Is that even PC anymore?
I
that
don't
word?
think. I think metrosexual is like just saying straight. Like, I don't even think that's.
I think so too.
I don't even think it's progressive anymore. But
No,
I don't
it
know.
used
They've always
to.
been like musicians, more so than maybe like jocks.
Yeah.
So
That's
maybe
true.
that's it. But they've always been really emotional, and I'm not that emotional. So I guess that's why I also feel like, wow, you're a complicated guy.
I mostly dated musicians too. Musicians.
Same.
So maybe we don't.
Where are the non-musicians at? They can be friends
Right.
with?
Everyone's an artist.
But yeah,
Oh my
we love them.
goodness.
We love them.
Yeah, I love men. I'm sure people will disagree or agree.
For sure.
I think most people would say women are more complicated. I think
Yeah,
as
I
a
think
whole,
that's like the party line. But
yeah. I just think, like I said, I
disagree.
think it's just the industry. I think if I was in another industry, then maybe my opinion
Yeah.
would be different. Like, I don't know, nail salons. I don't know. I don't know what else women would be.
Women are
models
complicated about
in the
their
model
nails.
industry. I'm
Probably.
sure that would be my choice, but I am not a model. Okay, we're going to go ahead and continue our conversation. So here we are, the Voice Cast Part 2, Quarantine Conversations. This week, we're going to talk about adapting. Just during this season right now, there is change and we have to be flexible. We'll have to be flexible. All these things are happening right now. The laws of the land keep changing every 5 minutes. The commands, what we have to do. We have curfews all of a sudden and we're grown adults. We have to we're not allowed to go to stores and we have to, I don't know, there's just all these new rules and life is calling for change. The definition of adapting is two. One is to adjust to oneself to different conditions or environment, and also to make suitable to requirements or conditions, modify fittingly. And it's crazy. We just this is it. This is what the season is calling for, and a lot of people, we need to adapt, and even as the church or as believers or as human beings, we have to. So my first question to you ladies is, when or what was a time in your life when change came and you had to adapt, besides this time right now?
Besides Corona.
The first thing that I think of is it's pretty recent, maybe the last year and a half, maybe. So my mom had made kind of like a mistake in, we were living in government housing and she didn't pay her rent on time, and it was like her third strike. So she had done this previously before, and they kind of gave her like, hey, if you do this again, like you are going to be evicted type of thing. And so come to find, like she did pay it late. It was maybe like an hour late. She was late, but either way she was late. And so she didn't adapt to this change. So then it kind of affected me, my sister, my mom, and our entire family. And so what ended up happening was we basically for a couple months were on edge waiting for this eviction notice. And finally we got it, and we had to basically move out of our place in 24 hours notice.
My goodness.
And it was like the day right before internship was starting. So work was crazy for me. And like, I just had to put everything on pause. And like, there was no way like I couldn't adapt to this. Like, not only just adapt with like moving everything out of my home, moving it into storage, separating from my family. My sister was living with her friend. My mom was living with my grandma. And then I was living with a friend. And I just had to like, that's what life was. And I had to get used to it. I didn't have a say so in it. And I had to just kind of like accept the decision that my mom made that kind of changed everything for my family and I. And since then, I've just been doing my own thing. So it was a blessing
That's crazy.
disguised as a curse in the beginning, but really, like, I don't know where I'd be right now, at least without that.
It was like
happening.
forced change. You had no choice.
Yeah.
Correct. So it was difficult for sure.
I know, like, obviously, for me, it would be having a baby. That is just... I don't know if there's
Easy breezy?
anything. Yeah, it's like,
Easy
it's like
peasy,
the
lemon
easiest thing
squeezy?
in the world. I don't know if there's like one single biggest change you could ever go through. Like everyone, like when we were gonna get married, they're like, "Get ready," and like nothing happened. Like it was fine. So I'm like, "Oh, well, having a baby will probably be fun," and it's fun now-ish, kind of some days. But it was a huge, like your whole life changes. You are
Well,
no
I guess
longer
even
yourself.
just physically, the hormones
yeah.
and the
Oh, yeah.
whole thing. So it's not even like
even
just
like
outside.
9 months of pregnancy. That's not that big of a change. Like you get bigger,
Yeah.
people are nice to you. I don't know. You're like, wow, I can't wait the nursery. And then when the baby's here, you're like, oh my gosh, none of that mattered. What am I doing?
One of my biggest changes was when I first left Puerto Rico. And I
that's
first
crazy.
mainland United States. So
Wow.
my parents spoke English, but I really didn't. I knew a few words. So I will never forget my first day of first grade in Miami, Florida.
Wow.
And I remember telling my mom, I'm like, please, did you tell the teacher I literally could cry thinking back. I was like, did you tell the teacher I don't speak English? I remember my mom's like getting ready to take me to school. And I'm just like, mommy, please, por favor, le dijiste. Like, did you tell her I don't speak English? Yes, Sonia, I'm having a heart attack. I'll never forget walking into that school, walking into the classroom and seeing my teacher. Her name was Mrs. Singing. And I didn't understand because singing is about singing.
It's a weird
How
name
is that a name?
in English?
Understand? I was just like, this is crazy. And I sat there the whole day. So 8 hours of a school day. And I had no idea what was going on. That moment, there was 2 pivotal moments in my life. That in 8th grade, I was like, I am never going to survive this. God, I believed in him and he was in my heart. And I'm like, I decided you're not real. You know, like in that moment, I was like, I never thought I would survive first grade, which sounds kind of dumb and silly now, but I can go back to that mind. I'm like, I had no idea. I'm never going to learn English. Never in my life. It's like, it's impossible. My parents hate me. Wow. And God
hates me. But now I feel like it's easier for people who don't speak English. It's literally like no one even speaks English now. It's like you go to Miami and it's Spanish only.
Multicultural.
And so you're like, what happened here?
I was like, Miranda, you walk into class. I would have been like, yeah. Okay. Do you like change as a whole? Do you like change? Why or why not?
I hate change. Like I'm 25, but inside I'm 65. I just like things to be how they are. I like my routines and my schedules, even if it's like just the littlest change. I'll be like, why do we have to do it like that? Why can't we just keep doing it how we're doing it? And so, yeah, I'm really bad with change.
Yeah, so I'm kind of mixed. Like, I feel that for sure. I'm the person that like gets the same thing at the same food spots, the same thing at Starbucks every day at this time. Like, even today I rolled up to Starbucks, started saying my order, and she was like, wait, I can see you on the camera. I know. And she filled it in for me. And I was like, oh God, we've come to this point. But I would say, like, I agree with, like, I feel that way, but I know deep down, like, inside of me that in order for me to get better or for me to progress in life, like that, I can't stay that way. So then I like welcome it as best as I can, like, okay, like an awkward embrace when it comes. So like I want change, but then when it comes to like actually adapting to it is the part that I hate. And I'm like, I don't really want to do this, but I know it's for the greater good and it's going to make me better. So then I'm just kind of like, oh, I got to. So
I detest change. If it was me, I'd probably still be in Goldenrod. Like I detest be sitting in the pink pews, loving life.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, like I cannot stand it. Even like our last staff meeting, Josh Doctor is like, I know some of us don't like change, and he looks straight at me, and I'm like, shut up.
You're like
well, shut up. Right. I'm using my abacus to like do my bills
while we're on Facebook group time, whatever face group time.
Like, I'm like, I can't. It is so like I just don't like it. I don't like it. Now, I don't know, just even watching myself through the season, there's just certain things that you just kind of grow. But like in my mind, my natural thing, once again, I take it back to like first grade, you know, and like, I'm just like, I hated it. Mm-hmm. Okay. What's the hardest part of change or accepting change in relationships, like our personal relationships, romantic relationships?
Okay, so Mike Tyson, like one of his.
So let me start.
Let me start with Mike Tyson.
I was like,
okay,
it's for our viewers. You know what I'm saying? Like
I'm really trying to be relevant, and I know that he's huge right now. No, I was like, whatever, on Google, and how they have all these quotes or whatever. And so one of his like most famous quotes is, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Ooh. And so he's talking about, you know, boxing or whatever. Like you go in and you're like, I'm going to just do this. And then boom, you get punched the first time and you're like, oh my gosh, now I just have to survive. And so like that quote, like I am reminded of it all the time because I feel like relationally that has happened to all of us. Like at some point, it could be when you're like little and your parents get divorced, or it could be when your, you know, significant other breaks up with you or cheats on you, or, you know, something happens where like we think everything's fine in our relationships. And then all of a sudden it's like, bam, you just punch you right in the face and you're like, whoa, I had no idea this was coming. And so I feel like after that happens, and again, some of it's like when you're 3 years old. So like after that happens, I feel like there's this trauma we all have where we don't want that to happen again, you know? So anytime a relationship changes, we're like, is this it? Is this the time someone's gonna punch me? And so that's for me, I always think of that. I'm like, even if when you're healthy and you're working through it, it's still that reminder of like, yeah, but one day I woke up and this person just left.
Yeah.
And then how can you guarantee that's not, and you can't guarantee it. That's the thing too, is like, you can be like, well, it's okay, you know, God is good. But then you really can't be like, but there's no guarantee that so-and-so is not going to just dip out or change or whatever. So
I'm just starting to sweat you talking.
I know.
I'm getting nervous.
No,
I
I'm
felt
like-
myself sweating.
Is it happening right now? That's why I'm like, yeah, I think that's really good. And I think too, like the hardest part, at least in relationships or maybe in general, like it's like inevitable. Like you can't control it. Like, so when those things happen, whether you're 3 or you're 25, it's like most of the things that are changing, because we want to stay how we are with our same Starbucks order and our same food because we like, you know,
Amen.
systems and stuff, but they make us comfortable. And so when something does happen, I think the hardest part is it's inevitable. Like you can't control it. You can only control yourself and like what you're going to do with it. So I think the hardest part is the fact that you don't know, you know, what's going to change next or how is it going to change. And then I think the hardest part too about it is you don't know the end result. Like how is it going to be
Like, if it's
after
gonna
the
be
change
okay.
happens? Yes. So like most times we freak out and we're like, oh, this isn't, it feels so whatever. So the world must be ending. Like I'm not going to get through first grade, or I'm not going to get through this eviction notice. But then it ends up turning into the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, sometimes not always, but you know.
It's still one of my biggest things is just the loneliness. The shock is good though, like not good, but I'm like, that is literally the worst thing, because that's like the only thing that we can guarantee from after change happens. Like the shock, that like instant whatever will kind of like get
down.
dull. It'll fade.
It'll die,
But to me, it's the loneliness.
Yeah.
You know, when you had a relationship with someone, whether it's romantic or personal business, whatever, that all of a sudden they're not in your life anymore. That gap, that emptiness
crazy.
causes all of us to do horrible things,
Yep.
desperate things,
Yeah.
like
We be bugging.
the things that, yes, we're out of control. We are animals.
Yeah.
And we just don't
It's
even,
like
we're like, I
survival
don't
at that
care.
point. Yeah.
And we go back to like horrible habits.
Yeah.
We start talking to other people that relationships we've deaded. We say crazy things, and that desperation is so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And
but you really can't control it. Like when you're in it, you're just like,
I can't.
I know I'm a psycho, but like you can't, no amount of like lessons or your friends' advice, like you just can't. It's like pure survival instinct. You're like, I need hug
this
from someone.
And we don't care who
care who
it is.
it
We start
is.
downloading crazy
Yeah.
apps. We start telling everybody, you know, like we shun all relationships. You know, like I know how people are doing spiritually if they text me back. I know exactly.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, that is my tell. Like I don't need anything. I'm like, oh shoot, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you
What
doing
happened?
right now? Let me know. You know, and it's so crazy, and we end up pushing away the people that can help us.
Yeah.
You know, but that to me, that's one of the worst parts. Okay, what's the hardest part of change / accepting change in life? Goody.
All of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I think it's just like we always feel like the grass is greener, but then when something starts to change, we're like, no, I think the grass is not greener over there. I want to stay over here. Like I just think it's the unknown. You just never know, because there's things like in life that we all understand this right now. Like you don't appreciate till they're gone, or you don't appreciate till you don't have it. And so then when things start to shift and change, all of a sudden you're like, no, I really liked how things were. And I don't know how things are going to be. Like, I think that's always a thing. Like, is this going to be better or worse than what's happening right now? And I think my automatic thing is it's going to be worse. And I'm like, my life was so great. It was perfect. I had no problems. And now it's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not real. But I think the fact that I think Taylor said it about relationships, you don't know how it's going to end. You don't know where you're going to end up. And that's really scary.
To me, it's just the battlefield of the mind. Like it's just all the stuff that could go wrong up here. Like that, it really is the worst, because it's never as bad as you think up here. Like I don't know. There's maybe only once, a couple of times in my life that it's like, no, it was just as bad. To be honest, that you know, that's my story. That's my testimony. But the reality, most of the time, like stressing out and the anxiety in my mind, you know, and I'm like, I think all these horrible things. So like you have to take thoughts captive. Like I've had to learn. People think it's just automatic. No, I had to learn to sit there and be grateful and just, okay, the 10 things I'm grateful for, the 20 things I'm grateful for, to take thoughts captive,
Yeah.
because the party up here
It's
is,
wild.
it's lit. Like,
rager.
you want to
It's a
join
rager.
it? It is absolutely insane.
Regrets
No, I
the
feel
next
that.
morning. Yeah.
It is the best.
Yeah.
You
It's
know, like,
horrible.
so like maybe that's maybe that's why I write dramas, because I'm like, whoa, I got a lot up
This is
there.
what's happening.
You know, but that's me. What's the hardest part of change? Accepting change at work. Talk about relationships, talk about life, anything at work. To me, especially in this season, I think it's crazy how people have either risen to the occasion or like fallen to the
Yeah.
occasion. Like, I just see it all around, which I'll talk about a little bit more as we go further in the conversation. But just like, I've seen people just be, I mean, for real. And yes, the doctors, nurses, Target employees,
Yeah.
all them, you guys are the heroes.
best, yeah.
You guys are
For
literally
sure.
killing it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, getting yelled at all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like flight attendants,
I
all
know.
those people. I'm like, you guys are amazing. But I've just seen people in my life at work, like, just kind of step up and connect and
Yeah.
provide things for people, and just kind of run with the vision. Even
Yeah.
right now, to me, my personal heroes are the people that you don't see right here. It's actually the people behind the cameras right
Yeah.
now. Shout out to our entire tech team that I've just seen them. Okay,
Yeah.
now we have to go online. We got to go
Overdrive,
digital.
yeah.
And they're like creating content, working at
Yeah.
2 a.m., you know,
Yeah.
coming up with all this stuff just so that we can do what we do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm floored.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, because whatever, you know, people are good and you know, people love God. But whenever everything's falling apart,
Mm-hmm.
and things are a mess, and then people are like, no, like, I'm going to do
gonna
this
be-
because obviously, you know, it's because of Jesus, because
Yeah.
of God. Like,
Yeah.
they just have it. But I've just been inspired by that.
Yeah, I
Um,
like that.
It's good.
So I think the hardest part at work, just expressing the vision. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
now we'll never see people again.
Yeah.
This is what we're
That's
going to
true.
do. So in my position as a supervisor or whatever, and I feel like been reading like John Maxwell books and stuff,
Yeah.
and he was saying how like, this is so depressing. About 25% of the team will never get it. He's like, he's just not going to get it.
Yeah.
Just
Wow.
not. So I'm just like,
those
okay,
are the
well
people
then,
that are really
but then
vocal, too.
I was just like, okay, well then I quit.
Right.
In the party in my mind, I'm like, they're never gonna get it. But
Yeah.
you know, like, it's just a little bit, though. It's also peace of mind, because it's like, calm down,
Yeah.
Right.
relax. You know, I'm like, but it is hard to go, okay, now we are online, and now
Right.
everything you know is fake.
Right.
And me not liking change, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a lot.
I think very like what you're saying, like
Yeah.
a lot of churches right now, they're either like thriving and reaching more, or they're like, I mean, even I know like one of our friends down south, like he was talking about his church, and his church is mostly like elderly people. And so like to tell a 70-year-old person how to live stream something
It's
is like,
crazy.
how do you do that? You can't, you know, and
Yeah.
if they're not going to church, they're not tithing. If they're not tithing, people are getting laid off. So it's like, that is scary. And that's not our situation here, obviously,
Yeah.
because we have enough people that can help and try to make it as easy as possible. But thinking about work too is just thinking about, I always think about like when we have turnover and when we have like new people. And how long have you worked here, Taylor? Like,
A little over 3 years.
okay, so 3 years. So like 3 years ago, there was a shift. And then when Pastor Matt became the high school pastor, and when Pastor Michael became the middle school, like all these shifts happen. And I know, like, even though if they didn't really impact me, I was still like, this is so scary. But anytime anyone steps down or gets promoted or
Yeah.
whatever, it's always really scary, because we're just like, yeah, we finally figured out how to do this. You know, like we
Yeah.
finally got good at this.
God be
Yeah.
changing things
Right.
on
And
us.
then God's like, no,
But he be doing it on
change
purpose, though.
Right.
Ooh,
He's like,
ooh, ooh.
And I think
me-
that's why, but I think I have always seen, though, because in May will be 6 years, I think, that I've been full-time here.
Wow.
And so in 6 years, and even just 3 years before that as an intern, I've always seen anytime someone leaves, we're like, the world's gonna end. And then God's like, no, literally the next day someone's like, how about this? I have my degree in this and I'm gonna help for free. And we're
Yeah.
like, what? That's crazy. So I've tried to learn how to not freak out so much, because
Yeah.
I've always seen God bring
Come
it back
through.
around.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, let me read you guys a quote that I read. Pain accompanies change. One way or another, it's going to hurt to make adjustments in our lives. So either we choose pain of change or the pain of staying the same. I'm going to read it again. Pain accompanies change. One way or another, it's going to hurt to make adjustments in our lives. So either we choose the pain of change or the pain of staying the same. What are your thoughts?
I think that's really good. I think too, it hits home for me, at least, because majority of my entire life since I can remember has been nothing but like me adapting to things that have been painful. So like as early as like 3 when my parents were divorced, like having to learn how to say goodbye to my dad every weekend, stuff like that. So like I'm very comfortable and very familiar. I wouldn't say comfortable, but I'm very familiar with pain because there's been so much that has happened in different seasons of my life. Like every season or every period of my life where I was growing or I was changing or God was moving or like, oh, Tay's on the come up. There's a behind the scenes story where there's a bunch of pain and I either have to make that decision, whether it's, hey, stay the same as the last season or, hey, embrace this pain because you're changing and you're getting better and God's doing a new thing and he's changing you, or the pain of staying the same and facing the same dumb old stupid trials over and over and over until I finally get it.
Yeah.
So
I think about like, which this is something like in high school, but that I specifically remember in my life, but I think for other people it's different times. But we've all had that time where like God takes us around the mountain like 15 times. It's the same mountain. And I'm like, I thought this was a different mountain. I thought it was over the mountain, and God's like, no. And like, we start to be like, why am I going through the same trial every 6 months? Yep. This is crazy. And so I think like that's when the pain of staying the same starts to be worse than the pain of changing. And that's really, I think, the only time people change is when it literally is like life or death. Like I either change or this happens. And I don't think anyone really, really changed. Maybe some people do who are like really great and fantastic. But I don't know. I think about like, when like men who are a certain weight and a certain age have a heart attack. It's like the first time in their life, they're like, maybe I shouldn't eat bacon all the time. But like it's literally because the doctor's like, you're going to die if you don't stop eating bacon. And so that's when they stop. But they're like 55 and they just went through a massive thing, and then I feel like I wish we could change before that happened. And that probably is God's wish for us. But at the very least, when it's too painful to stay how you are, that's when anyone can change.
I think that's the key though too. Like it's painful where you're at.
Right.
Like if we were just right now during these quarantine times, if we were just to like stay how we are, you know what I'm saying? And it's funny, like not that we could still have service because we're not allowed to have big service, but even that we could do that, get arrested.
Right.
We could just stay at home and do nothing. We could throw our call out the window, be like, forget it, I'm no longer a pastor. Like we could just quit that or quit school or quit whatever. And I'm like, and just the stay the same, or you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, no, it's going to hurt to change, but obviously this is better because the pain of staying the same, it literally after a while, it's worse. Like the pain of just like, no, I'm going to stay in this toxic relationship. I'm going to stay in this toxic situation. Like, but it isn't until you have the heart attack, until you just hit this rock bottom. Which, I don't know, maybe America just hit a rock bottom or something. We're like, no, I'm going to adapt. I read this quote from Joyce Myers, and it says, I encourage you to be a person who is not afraid of responsibility. In meeting resistance, you will build your strength. If you only do what is easy, you will always remain weak.
Yeah.
And I think it's crazy how I feel like God believes in us more than we believe in ourselves.
Yeah. Oh,
like
absolutely.
we're just like, no, I want to stay. But God's like, but you're so weak. Like be better. Yeah. I'm going to allow this to happen so you can develop strength and that you can be better. Like staying as we are keeps us as weak, as faulty, as, kind of anything that comes our way. Like we're supposed to be like the cedars planted by water. And these are strong rooted trees. But one random thing happens and we're like, oh no, and we just fall apart. And God is like, no, I'm trying to make you strong. And either we and it's just crazy because of course hindsight's 2020. So we're like, man, I'm so glad I ended that relationship. I'm so glad I started that blog. I'm so glad I didn't drop out of school. But if we could get it now, then we can move along faster. What has helped you to adapt and to thrive to new situations? Like what advice or what idea or what situation has helped you to adapt and to thrive to new situations?
I think, which we kind of mentioned this the last podcast that we did. But like for me, I just have to put one foot in front of the other. Cause like if I think all the way to the end, I'm like, I'm gonna die. This is not gonna work out. I can't do it. Let's go back. But I've been able to teach myself how to like, yeah, but just do it today. Just go in today. Just text them today.
Yeah.
You know, and then really just try to cut off any future thinking. Cause I'm like, if God's real, then it's gonna be fine.
Amen.
Because at the end, if the worst thing happens, I'll still go to heaven. So
Amen.
like that's the worst case, right? And so then I'm just like, all right, let's not think about it. Let's turn off the news.
Yeah.
Let's do this instead. But it's always just like literally one tiny step ahead because the future is very, really scary, you know? So I try not to think about it.
For me, it's mostly like surrounding myself around people that are better than me that can encourage, you know, when something is happening or something is changing, can encourage that change in my life. Like, no, you're going through this, but it's okay because God brought you through the last thing. And they're kind of pulling that out of me and they're pulling me. They're kind of like, come on, Tay, come on, you can do it. Yeah. So like, even though the hard part is they can't do the daily steps with me where I have to adjust and I have to get my emotions in check. And, you know, I have to fix my mind and take my thoughts captive. They can't do that part for me. Being able to surround myself around people, you know, that can draw that out of me and kind of, you know, plant seeds in my life in those seasons of change, grow me for the next season where I'm like, okay, I'm rooted, I'm planted, then boom, another change. And then I'm like back in the same situation. So to a motivation as well, keeping people that are, you know, better than you around you is like, I'm like, oh, I want
That's so hard to keep people that are better than you around because people we get intimidated. We're like, we feel better if we like, no, people who are worse than us.
But I'm like, if you don't have people in your life that you're afraid to like tell things to, now telling them is a whole nother obstacle, but at least just get them in your life, get them close enough to you in your life. So that way, when you do finally build up the courage or that situation does happen and you do open up and you do tell them, then we know that they're going to sow seeds to kind of help you. But no, I do agree. Like there's, you know, especially in the age of social media, like everyone is comparing themselves 24/7. Why would I want to hang out with the person I want to be like? You know, I'm jealous of them. But instead I'm like, no, like, why would I not want to hang around Pastor Sonia or, you know, Kaimana or PJ or, you know, like some of my greatest friends, like Pastor Johnny's oldest son, Isaac, like I adore him. He's one of the greatest friends in my life. And he is like, he makes me better. He makes me in every season. Like if I'm like, hey, I'm going through this or hey, I'm going through that. He's like the number one person who's like, call me, let's hang out. Let's go do this. Hey, want to work out with me? He's like, let's work out every single day. Like he's just, you know, a go-getter and there's qualities about him. He's huge. There's qualities about him and other people in my life where I'm like, I want to be like this or I want to be like that. Absolutely. And because they're better than me in certain areas, then I can surround myself to be around them and hopefully get to be like them.
And I think that takes like a certain amount of discernment though, because everyone's like on their own journey. Yeah. So at a certain point you're surrounded by people that are better than you. And then in 2 years you might be like, oh, in the nicest way possible, you're no longer better than me. Yeah. You've decided to
and that is a huge part of change
growing,
too.
Right? And
it's
so
like when you have to cut those people off.
Wow,
yeah.
I'm still taking your advice as if I'm looking up to you.
Correct.
But I shouldn't be looking up to you anymore. So your advice has to I have to like remove that part of my heart that is like I revere everything you say because you haven't prayed. You don't read your Bible. You don't have the same convictions anymore. And I do. And so I think that is another change where you're just like, great. So now, you know, I told God this is my accountability and now they're messing around. So now I have to go find new accountability, new friendships, change the friendships I have. Yeah. Trust people again. I trusted them.
But it just goes really back to that whole change thing too. It's like, if you're changing, right, you want to change, you want to embrace that. Yeah, you're going to have to change your friends because it's not working no more for you, you know? And like, if they're not changing, and I think that's the number one reason why people stay the same is most of the time, look at their friends, look who they're hanging with. Yeah. There's people I know where I'm like, yo, when I started coming to faith, you are the same right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm 7 years into this thing and I've been getting better and better with each season. And it's not because I'm better than you. It's because I decided that I was going to embrace the change and the pain that came with it and change my friends. But oh, trust me, like I've cried just as many tears as you.
They don't think that though.
No, they don't.
Think like, oh, we're like easy. I'm like, I cried 24/7.
Right, you're like, all I want is your friendship.
I'm like, no.
I'm like, the same things. Like we not that we've all faced the same things, but we've all had times or seasons in our lives where we've had to, you know, face friendships or face those, you know, things that have kind of got us to where we're at now. And they may look different depending on who the person is. Like, everybody's on their own journey.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we've all had to do it.
Yeah.
One of my best things that I was taught a long time ago, kind of read about it and then just whatever, is like to constantly reinvent yourself. That's how I've been able to like adapt and thrive to new situations. I'm constantly like, how can I reinvent myself? How can I be different today? What is something I can adapt? I mean, that's one of the reasons, even when I first got on staff at church, I would do leadership stuff and mission trip stuff and fine arts, but there was no such thing at The Voice. But literally I was praying. I was like, I want to do something new.
Yeah.
I literally just went to PJ and I'm like, okay, I want to do something new. And that's kind of the beginning, the genesis of The Voice, but it's because I was reinventing myself. Now, when I say that, and to quote, you know, it's not Mike Tyson, but to
Mike
quote
Tyson.
Kenny Rogers, you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to fold them. And quote RIP, I knew Kenny Rogers songs before I knew English. So yes, fun fact right there. So if you want everyone, Kenny Rogers and Mike Tyson,
awesome.
let's get together.
I
Let's
know,
do it.
Mike
I get
Tyson,
boxing too.
and then
Oh my
Joyce Meyer
goodness.
can join us. Yeah.
Joyce Myers, yes. But like I reinvented myself. But here's
Yeah.
the thing: a lot of people are like, they don't finish what they start, and they think that they're starting new things. Because a lot of people like change, but they don't finish what they start. So that's a no-no also. So I had a grip and a handle on these other aspects, so I was able to expand my territory and start this thing new.
Yeah.
Notice I still juggle these balls, even with fine arts. It's evolved in so much. Even, you know, Taylor have had conversation how fine arts will continue to evolve.
Yeah.
But this is after how many years and how many teams and how many levels that I feel secure of doing it. So you can't let go of the other things that you still have to do, but I can constantly reinvent myself. So, because, you know, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
So when you constantly reinvent yourself, what else can I do? How can I expand?
Yeah.
Then when change comes, you're ready for
You're
it.
gonna be okay.
And I had to learn that. And even right now during this season, obviously so awesome. Ford company they're using F-150 parts to create respirators, which
Yeah.
the Ford company has been around since forever.
Yeah.
And they're perfect
America. They're great.
philanthropists.
That's
But
crazy.
they're like, no, we're doing this even before they were told we're going to do this for respirators.
Yeah.
And even yesterday, which I love it, the My Pillow guy,
Oh,
Mike
yeah.
Lindell, he
I heard about
literally, he's like so
on the
cute.
video. Yeah.
He was like, okay, now they're making 50,000 N95 masks, like the fancy masks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, no more pillows. We're making these masks. 50,000 a day.
Yeah.
Like that mind, literally, I just gave myself chills. I'm like, I want to be like that.
No,
that it's like,
that's what I was
what?
thinking.
Right.
This
Like,
Yeah.
I wanna
issue
be
is
like
happening.
that.
Boom.
Right,
I'm
you can meet
never
that
mind
need
cars. I'm gonna
immediately.
make respirators.
Yeah.
Never mind pillows.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
like,
make
what can I
masks.
do?
I'm like, never
Yeah.
mind ice cream. I'm gonna make shakes. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
Yeah.
that is just inspiring.
Yeah, for
to
sure.
like
It's
help.
amazing.
It's never like what the enemy is throwing away. Is like, no,
Oh, yeah.
whatever. I got you. Like. I'm just going to reinvent myself and still be a light to this world. Now, I mean, people know My Pillow, but like he
Right.
was on the news, Mr. My
Right,
Pillow.
yeah.
And I'm like, who would have thought it would, I want to buy a My
Right.
Pillow and
We
a
all want
mask.
My
I'm like,
Pillows
amen.
now.
He's doing
Yeah.
his thing. You know, I think I do have a My Pillow. I think Jason got me one a few years ago.
That's crazy.
Well, because I don't sleep very well.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I have a ton of pillows because if I get the right pillow, it'll
Insomnia
work.
pillows.
Jesus help me God.
I know, like that reminds me of when Chick-fil-A opened on Sunday, and they
Oh,
gave away
yes.
sandwiches after Pulse happened or whatever. And I'm like, you open on Sunday and you gave some away for free, and you're
I
the
forgot
best.
about
Chick-fil-A
that.
is the
Yeah, that
best.
was here in Orlando.
Or even not whatever, but at Waterford Lakes, because now they only do the drive-through, whatever. They built like an awning for their employees in like a day. Like I remember I went to Waterford Chick-fil-A, and then like 2 days later I went and I was like, wow, look at this awning. And I just thought it was amazing because there's companies like that I'm like, I want to be just like you.
I just feel like God, we're supposed
Yeah,
to be
that's how
like
it
we're not
should
supposed
be.
to like
Yeah.
this happened. We're like, oh no,
We're, like, stuck.
Let me
Yeah.
pray about it. No, I feel
There's
like
no time.
already
Yes.
God had been telling Mr. My Pillow,
Right.
hey,
Yeah.
you're gonna be making masks.
some
You know, like
mask
hey, Chick-fil-A, you should
materials.
build
Yeah.
like already. Like we are not unaware of the enemy's schemes.
Yeah.
You know, and God would not allow something if it was gonna hurt us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. Taylor, invent something. I don't know.
No, I need to. I
Something
be
together.
it is inspiring. Like, and I sometimes like I think about things like that, and I'm like, that's what makes people like great though, because like
Amen.
not that nobody didn't know the My Pillow guy now. Oh, sorry, before, but they know, like everybody knows him now because of this one moment of change where he
Yeah.
decided to rise to the occasion,
Yeah.
be flexible, and say, what could I do? You know, to adapt and to help others in this change too. So
Yeah.
like there's people like that everywhere. Like you read about people like that all the time, and like I don't know, I'm like I want to be like that. I want to be someone that rises to the occasion, that can adapt to change, and that can make other people better at the same time while
Amen.
doing
Yeah, I
it.
think
Amen.
so.
I want to be in the light. That song's been in my head. Okay, what is one thing anyone can do today to begin adapting to embracing change? As they're home right now, they're today, you know, like in their quarantine life, going on walks, you know what I'm saying? Doing, you
good
know,
question.
whatever. What is one thing that people can do today to begin adapting and embracing change?
I think one thing you can do is kind of stop, like, which this is going to be unpopular, I guess, but stop like the vision board, stop the journaling, just stop all, like
Burn
stop
it.
like making plans, stop like making your 3-month
list.
workout plan and the perfect, the perfect playlist, stop like doing, you know, meal prep, like drawing it out, like whatever, just stop doing all that and just like do something, like do one thing today, because I know like, I think of my life and like all the changes that happen, everything scary has brought me to this place, which is great and I love it. But if like when I was
Live. Okay.
God, when
Still
if
live
I
at
was
the
like,
scoop.
you know, 12 and God was like, this is everything that's going to happen before you're 25.
Yeah.
I would be like, take me up in a whirlwind,
Yeah.
please. I don't want to, you know, like I wouldn't be able to comprehend his plans. But since I just kept my head down, I got through it, and now I can look back and be like, what a great time. I learned so much. However, again, like if he would have told me all the answers to every prayer I was praying and told me how to exactly, you know, bullet journal the rest of my future, I would have been so freaked out I wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah.
So I think like everyone has to stop hypothesizing and looking at charts and all this stuff and just like go do something, and then tomorrow do it again, and then tomorrow do it again, and you'll be fine.
What about Tay? You have any advice?
I would just say, I mean, mine's like super Christian, but like this is just genuinely
How
like,
dare you?
I know, God. Like this is just practically what I would do. Like I genuinely just believe, like, go into your room or your quiet place, wherever it is, and just ask God, like, God, what do I need to change? Or more importantly, like, God, what is, or you could even just meditate and reflect on like what is, you know, my biggest dream. Like ask yourself that and be honest with God, but then ask God, what is your biggest dream for me?
That's good.
And
I like that.
you know, hopefully, and I believe he will in time, he will reveal that, and then start to, you know, make small changes in your life, whether it's changing your friends or stopping those bullet journals or finishing the last thing you didn't finish before, like whatever it is. I believe like God will, you know, speak that to you. The Holy Spirit will direct your steps and kind of guide you and lead you to do that. But I think that it starts with like having a vision for your life. Like when I was 16, I had a vision for my life, and I got saved at 16, but it took about a year or so before I was like, God, what is the purpose and why I'm here? And what do I need to work towards for me to really get it and be like, oh, okay, I have a calling, I have a purpose, I have something worth living for, worth changing for, a goal worth attaining that's far off. And it came from a quiet moment with God where I just kind of sought after him and asked him like what it was. So it may be really small. God might be just make masks, or you know, he might be like, hey, I want you to have your own business, or you know, I want you to be a school teacher, but you're about to reinvent how to do that, or you know,
Amen.
whatever it is. Like it could be whatever your journey is, but get into your quiet place, use that discernment, and it might take more than just asking once. God is not going to respond back like in an instant message, so it might take that asking, that meditating, that waiting, that putting your hope in God. So
I think once you start asking too, you can't freak out when things start happening in your life.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, wait, what? Like, I think
you have
sometimes
to
we
want it.
forget
Yeah.
all the big prayers we prayed. We're like, I'll do anything. Take anything away
Yeah.
from my life. You know, search me, Lord, and know me. Like,
Yeah.
and then God's like, okay. And he starts taking things and you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, you
I don't
forgot
get
like
it.
2 days
Yeah.
ago, you were like, God, you can have it all. So,
I think that's all good advice. I think one of the best things that we could possibly do, just practical, is like, instead of like talk about your problems more than your feelings.
yeah.
So like, and because we have to accept the distorted view or our bias that we go into a situation.
That's good.
So like if we're constant, we know we're complainers, or we're stress balls, or we're lazy, or we're whatever it is. I just feel this. I just feel like, let's not talk about our feelings, because we know feelings don't matter. But what is the problem?
Yeah.
Like, I stress all the time and I have anxiety. What's the real
Okay.
problem? I'm avoiding schoolwork.
Right.
Okay, so let's
That's
talk
good,
about
though.
it. I'm not saying you can't be honest. I'm like, but let's
no.
stop
Yeah.
giving life to the anxiety. The
What's
problem is
happening?
schoolwork.
Right.
Okay, what do I need to do? Like,
Yeah.
I
That's good.
put things aside, let me just do it. And I
Right.
think that speaking that life in our hearts and in our mind helps us
Yeah.
to confront the problem, because I think we do talk about our feelings too
So
much.
much, yeah.
How we feel. Okay, but what's the issue? Okay, I need to do, and that's the thing. Like, okay, yes, I have this issue. Yes, I'm sick. Yes, my dog. Yes, my cat. Yeah, okay, what are we gonna do? Okay, like, I need to work from home, or I need to take a walk. Okay, but it's hot. Okay, let's just take the walk.
Right.
And even at that point, like, when you have a problem, that's when you have accountability. Like, here's my problem. I'm scared of my homework. Okay, let's do our homework together.
Yeah.
Zoom the homework. Let's get it done. And look for practical advice for real on what to do next, so that if we can go into a situation knowing that all of us have our own bias. Like,
Yeah.
let's be mature
true.
enough and strong enough to be like, yeah, I tend to be like this.
Yeah.
And then find advice, find people to kind of help us
Yeah.
kind of tackle these problems, because I do
That's
believe
good.
that God is speaking to people right now, like,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
with ideas and creativity and opportunities, and we only have this season to just do this.
Yeah.
And not to expect stability either. Like, it's gonna
Right.
be weird for a while, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
receive it, everybody home. Like, it's gonna be weird. Amen.
Right.
You
Like, we
know?
can just trust in that nothing's
it's
going to be the
weird.
same
Correct.
and that it's all going to be weird every day we wake
yeah,
up.
and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to cry and be confused and be whatever. I'm
Yeah.
like, but
Don't stop doing what
you're
supposed to be
supposed to do.
doing. Yeah.
Where we are almost done here. Is there any last words, any final thoughts that you want to say on anything that we've talked about? You're like, oh yeah, I just want to mention one more thing.
I would just say I love what Taylor said about the people you surround yourself with. And so I think now that none of us are surrounded by anyone, I think it's a really good time to reevaluate, like, okay, I'm always with this person because we work together. I'm always with this person because we go to the same gym or whatever. And then really feel like and understand and ask God, okay, are these the people that should be in my life?
Yeah.
Like when we're allowed to see each other again and we're out of prison, like, should my relationships look like how they looked before this? Because it's a really good time to just take a step back from some relationships, pursue other ones, and
That's good.
you're just at your house. So it's kind of like, I don't know, you can blame the pandemic like on it. It's fine. But I think that some of us really need to shift our friendships around, our priorities and that kind of stuff. And you're at home doing nothing. So why
Yeah.
not do it?
I would just say behind every good change, most people just see how the person is after they've been through something or they've been through a change, and that's what you're focused on, or that's the hope or the goal, or I like to use this word, the hype that you're following. And you think that maybe you can get to be that person or to accomplish this thing, but yet you have all these open tabs and these unfinished tasks. Like, I would just say, stop chasing the hype and stop trying to chase the clout of what someone looks like
Yeah.
once they reach this certain level or they become this certain person, or I come up with this idea, then all these people are going to know me and follow me and I can share God, when really it's all just about you. Like, the change is about you becoming better so that way you can be a better believer and you can, experience God to a new depth, a new degree. So then you can tell others about God. It's not about the hype. It's not about the clout. So I would just say, like, really focus on the change and embracing the change and becoming a different person, and not necessarily like what you can get out of the change. Like,
Yeah.
focus on, how you're going to be different. So that way your family can be different and your future family can be different. And you can come up with these ideas so you can share God's name, and, you can, be put on a platform to talk about God, and it purely come from your character and your heart, and it not be from you chasing clout and you not, becoming the person that God wants you to
Yeah.
be, for you to become that person. So I think a lot of time, like, that would just be the main thing, is like, yeah, all the pain I've experienced has not been worth the hype or the clout. It's not worth the video. It's not worth the spoken word clout I get or whatever it is that you've seen me do or whatever you think in your mind. Like all of that has been worth it. What has been worth it is having God with me every step of the way
Amen.
and me being different
Yeah.
at the end of every season. And so
Yeah.
I would just encourage people to just focus on that, like you becoming a better person because God wants you to be better and he wants you to have more of him in your life. So
That's good.
I kind of said this before, but I'm going to say it again. God wouldn't allow it if it would have stopped you.
Yeah.
Like I think back just even our first issues, the first question was the time that you had to change, and talked about giving birth, talked about moving out. Like, do you regret it? Do you
Right.
regret Elisha?
No.
Do you regret moving
the
out?
best.
Do I regret learning English?
I don't
Like
think so.
literally,
Yeah.
like I'm just like
Right.
literally, and I'm telling you, like I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like,
it's very
But if
real.
at that moment I
Yes.
would have been like, I would have had a fit, and I'm like, no,
Yes.
mommy, I'm not going to school. I'm not
Yes.
whatever. If I didn't have Puerto Rican parents that had to, there was no discussion in my household.
Right.
But I'm like, I literally think, and I'm like. And probably God was looking at me going, oh, Sonia, the words that you're going to share.
Yeah.
The things that you're going to say.
Yeah.
But you just learning if you just trust me.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy that like I would have never understood it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would have never, because I'm a big fat stress ball. Like I've literally been this, just shorter.
Yeah.
Like literally. Okay, so just take a few feet off. Like everything.
Yeah.
Like my questions, my mannerisms, my rules. You know, like I'm a rule person. Like if I would have thought, like I would have been like, Sonia, calm down. Like it's gonna
Right.
be fine. And I think that's kind of what God is trying to tell us. Like all our little first grade hearts, like
Right.
we're
That's
gonna be good.
Yeah,
Like
it's gonna
He's
be okay.
created plans for us to succeed.
Yeah.
For us to thrive.
Yeah, prosper.
And I just want everyone at home just like to take hope and take heart and like try and do something new today. Cause
Yeah.
God, I don't know. There's just ideas and
Yeah.
there's concepts, and I just can't get that out of my mind and my heart. And we're almost done, but it's Taylor's first voice cast. So
Yay.
Taylor, you have, the honor to pick a fortune. Whatever you want. We've exterminated them. They're good. I'll say, Taylor, this is about. What do you want it to be about? Your ministry, your future ministry, or your love life? Love
Wow.
life. Which one?
ministry.
Ministry. She's like,
You
don't talk
don't
about
have to choose ministry.
ministry. Your future ministry. Your future.
What is this?
Is it the
General
definition or look both sides?
No, it says good to begin well, better to end well.
I mean, amen. It's
Good to
gonna
begin.
Oh, that's good. The day of your death is better than the day of your birth.
Yeah,
That's what the Bible says.
That means it's gonna be successful. It's gonna be awesome.
But it's change. I'm just kidding.
I mean,
I wanted to say
It is
that.
change. It is change.
I was like, I don't want it to end.
You do. Better
Good to begin well. Yeah, better to end well. I read
You're
that.
gonna end well. So at the end, when you go
Amen.
to heaven,
You're gonna make
He's
it.
gonna go, hey, Tate, just like that. He's gonna dance.
Good job.
Well done, good and faithful servant.
I started with an
Ah.
eviction.
Thank you so much for watching today here live at The Scoop. If you enjoyed this, if you like it, go ahead and share the link right now so that other people can watch and be blessed. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.